You know the saying, that sounds great on paper, but... Well, besides that popular slogan being available as a t-shirt on my apparel site, justtextclothing.com, more on that later. But that slogan is also the inspiration for this short story. I asked ChatGPT to come up with some stories inspired by the quote I mentioned earlier. Hope you like it.
Leo had always been fascinated by time. He loved reading books about history, watching documentaries about ancient civilizations, and imagining what the future would look like. He dreamed of traveling through time and witnessing the events that shaped the world. That's why he decided to build a time machine. He spent months researching, designing, and assembling his device in his basement. He used spare parts from old computers, radios, and clocks, as well as some components he ordered online. He was careful not to tell anyone about his project, not even his best friend Max. He wanted to surprise everyone with his invention. He wanted to prove that he was not just a nerdy kid, but a genius. He wanted to make history. He finished his time machine on a Saturday night. He was so excited that he couldn't sleep. He decided to test it right away. He grabbed his backpack, put on his jacket, and sneaked out of his house. He rode his bike to the park, where he had hidden his time machine under a tarp. He uncovered his device and admired it. It looked like a metal box with wires, buttons, and dials. It had a small screen that displayed the date and time. It also had a helmet that was connected to the box by a cable. Leo put on the helmet and turned on the device. He entered the date and time he wanted to visit, July 4, 1776, 10 a.m. He wanted to see the signing of the Declaration of Independence. He pressed the start button and waited. He felt a jolt of electricity run through his body. He saw flashes of light and colors in his eyes. He heard a loud noise in his ears. He felt dizzy and nauseous. Then, everything went black. When he opened his eyes, he was in a different place. He looked around and saw a large building with a bell tower. He saw people dressed in colonial clothes walking on the street. He smelled smoke and gunpowder in the air. He realized he had done it. He had traveled back in time. He took off his helmet and put it in his backpack. He walked towards the building, hoping to catch a glimpse of the founding fathers. He was careful not to attract attention or cause trouble. He reached the entrance of the building and saw a guard standing there. He tried to act casual and walk past him, but the guard stopped him.
Hey, you there! Where do you think you're going?
Leo panicked. He didn't know what to say. He stammered.
The what?
The guard demanded.
The Declaration!
Leo blurted out. The guard looked at him suspiciously.
What declaration?
He asked. Leo realized he had made a mistake. The Declaration of Independence had not been signed yet. It was still being debated and revised by the Continental Congress. He tried to correct himself.
I mean, the Congress,
he said. The guard frowned.
What business do you have with the Congress?
He asked. Leo didn't have an answer. He felt trapped. He decided to run for it. He turned around and sprinted away from the guard. The guard shouted and chased after him. Leo ran as fast as he could, dodging people and carts on the street. He looked for a place to hide or escape. He saw an alleyway between two buildings. He ran into it, hoping to lose the guard. But he was not alone in the alleyway. He saw two men standing there, holding muskets. They wore red coats and hats with feathers. They were British soldiers. They saw Leo running towards them and pointed their guns at him.
Stop right there, rebel!
Leo skidded to a halt. He was cornered by the guard behind him and the soldiers in front of him. He didn't know what to do. He reached for his backpack, hoping to find his time machine and get out of there. But before he could open it, one of the soldiers shot him in the chest. Leo felt a sharp pain in his heart. He fell to the ground, bleeding profusely. He gasped for air and clutched his wound. He looked at his backpack and saw his time machine still inside it. He realized he would never see his home again. He realized he had made a terrible mistake. He realized that time travel sounded great on paper, but he closed his eyes and died.
Remember when I said earlier that you can purchase it? Yeah, that sounds great on paper, but on my apparel site justtextclothing.com, well, instead of me telling you about it, how about Leo, who knows firsthand the consequences of the quote, yeah, that sounds great on paper, but tell you more about why you should purchase the t-shirt and how you can purchase it. Take it away, Leo.
And yes, I know Leo's unalive, but I'm trying to sell you a so.
In the midst of my adventures through time and space, I stumbled upon something unexpectedly timeless, a piece of apparel from justtextclothing.com. A tee that read, yeah, that sounds great on paper, but for someone who delved deep into the intricacies of time only to discover the hard truths of reality, this shirt felt eerily apartment. At $25, the price felt right, reminiscent of the simpler pleasures from my own era. As I thought about my past choices, the choices I wished I had made, and the regrets that haunted my time-traveling journey, I couldn't help but appreciate the irony of this tee. Its message, so simple yet so profound, resonated with the lessons I'd learned the hard way. But here's where it gets even better. When I added another tee to my cart, because, why not memorialize my journey with more than one memento, I realized I'd hit the $50 mark. That meant free shipping. By simply entering the code JTC Free Ship 50 at checkout, I felt the burdens of additional costs fade away, much like the fading memories of my own timeline. I would urge all to seize this moment. While time travel might sound great on paper, the consequences of our actions always catch up. And while you might not be able to change the past, you can wear it. Make a statement, leave an impression, and remember, just text clothing, it's self-explanatory.
See you in the future.